Delighted to be joined from Delhi by a very well-known cultural and theatre icon, actor and multifaceted personality, now riding the crest of a new controversy. Girish Karnad, it is fantastic to have you on the News Hour tonight. Especially since you are Mr. Karnad, if I may say, and before I run the news report, that you are one of the protagonists in the playwright versus Nobel laureate Karnad versus Naipaul, ideology versus ideology, point of view versus point of view fight, which everyone says has given so much to the imagination. Everyone's talking about it. But what was this fight really all about? Girish Karnad, do you have any regrets over the way about what you said that day at the Literary Festival?
Oh, absolutely not. I waited 10 years to say it. You know, I heard Naipaul on BBC talking to Nisha Pillai in 2001, I think, soon after it got the Nobel Prize, must be. And he just, lashed into the Indian Muslim. And he said the Indian Muslim had destroyed Indian culture, he was a marauder, and there were 500 years of destruction of culture and so on. I was aghast. But there was nothing I could do because I was a government servant. I was the Minister of Culture. And then I didn't have any opportunity. You know, it's no use saying it in my backyard. It has to be said where it could be heard. Well, now I got the opportunity. That's all I can say. No, I have no regrets at all. This was the correct place to say it, and I think I pitched it right.
What purpose would it serve now? Because what Naipaul has said, he's said. What purpose would it serve?
You see, let's not be complacent about it. The Indian community in India is very vulnerable. It's in a corner, it's threatened. We may not be aware of it, but from all corners they are feeling threatened. Our next Prime Minister may be a person who organized the murder, whatever you call it, of 3,000 innocent Muslims in Gujarat. I mean, he may become our next Prime Minister. He's hailed as the leader of the next party. So you see, you have to be sensitive to what is happening to the country, because that's what's happening to our minorities. And now is the time to bring it up. I'm glad I didn't get an opportunity earlier. I'm glad I had to wait for 10 years, but now it's the right time.
Some of the people, I found, Mr. Karnad, that 90% of the people who criticized you were criticizing you not exactly for what you've said. There were 10% who criticized you for what you said. 90% of the people, Mr. Karnad, who criticized you said that we came to hear, the distinguished Girish Karnad give a 1 hour long masterclass on theatre. And they said that it was bad form for Girish Karnad to use that platform to launch a personal attack on V.S. Naipaul.
Well, let me say one thing. I will not distinguish between Naipaul the novelist and Naipaul the thinker. The two are the same, and this is why I was saying, what are you saying when you give him the award? I will not distinguish between Karnad the thinker and the Karnad the playwright. I'm one. I mean, when I'm asked to talk about my life, this is what concerns me. And it should concern me, surely. It's my country, my compatriots that I'm talking about. So, I don't see any contradiction in that at all. I was asked to talk about what concerned me, and this is what concerns me.
Couple of other questions that I have for you.
Yes.
Mr. Karnad, the other point was that when you look at V.S. Naipaul, and I saw that you also made a few very charitable and generous comments about, his incredible genius as a writer, where you said that, judge him. His books like A House for Mr. Biswas and other great books, show a form of writing which is unparalleled. Yeah. His ability, as you have yourself said, to talk about human emotions and situations is in another class altogether. Should a person, Mr. Karnad, be looked at for what he is genuinely a genius for? Because after all, V.S. Naipaul is not a historian. And hence his perspective of history, it can be argued, may not be an objective perspective of history. Should we look upon him more as a writer of fiction than as a historian?
Well, if the Literature Live, whatever landmark Lifetime's Achievement Award had said that this was an achievement of Naipaul the novelist, I would have nothing to say. If they just said that they're acknowledging his lifetime's achievement as a novelist, but that's not what they said. The award says that it was given to him as a lifetime achievement. And I said, then you can't distinguish between the thinker and the writer. And then what he has written about Muslims matters very much. Now, I'm not criticizing Naipaul. Naipaul has a right to say what he says. As I said, he's a foreigner, but even if he were not a foreigner, he would have a right. I'm not one for censoring it. I'm saying, when you give an award to him for a lifetime achievement, where do you stand with regard to these statements? That's all.
My last question.
I've still not had an answer on that.
It will be the day if we can ever get V.S. Naipaul in a direct conversation, and I'm saying conversation with Girish Karnad. The day that happens, we will get an answer to that. Now, my last question to you tonight, Girish Karnad, is, are you suggesting that V.S. Naipaul is rabidly anti-Muslim? Because Farrukh Dhondy, who's going to join us later on News Hour tonight, has countered your remark, and you may have read what Farrukh Dhondy has said. He says that Lady Naipaul and her family are Muslims. Mr. V.S. Naipaul's adopted son and daughter and 2 grandchildren are Muslims, and he appears to love the lot. In other words, Farrukh Dhondy uses that argument to say that your points of view about V.S. Naipaul being inherently anti-Muslim are themselves misplaced.
Shall I say something? I really don't want to comment on his personal life. I think it's very tasteless of Farrukh Dhondy to have brought in Mrs. Naipaul into a public controversy. I'm sure he's a good husband. I'm sure he's a loving father. I have no objection to that. I'm objecting to what he has written in public. I'm objecting to what he has written in a book. Now, if that has nothing to do with his family life, well, so much the better. I'm delighted. But I still object to it because that has the authority of a Nobel Prize winner, and that's the authority that these people are upholding. That's all. It's as simple as that.
Explain.
I don't think Farrukh should have brought in Mrs. Naipaul.
Explain your last comment.
Sorry?
You also said, Girish Karnad, I don't have to be polite. I'm following in the footsteps of Naipaul. Explain that.
Well, this is what I admire Naipaul for being forthright. At least you can't accuse him of being a hypocrite. You know, he says what he likes forthrightly, in which case even these people who give him an award, Dharkar and others, expect the same forthrightness. What they were saying is that you shouldn't have said it here. So where do I say it? Do I go back to Bangalore and say it in my backyard? What would be the connection? I mean, you should have been more civil. Why should I be civil? I mean, Naipaul is never civil, and more strength to him. I mean, I'll do the same.
Well,
I think, on that issue, me and Naipaul are on the same level, actually.
Girish Karnad, we'll have the debate with Farrukh Dhondy and William Dalrymple in 2 minutes. I thank you very much for joining me on this News Hour chat tonight. Wonderful to have you. Thank you.